According to the UNCRC, the right of a child to participation is not solely the act of expressing an opinion and having that opinion taken seriously, but of being able to construct that opinion freely through accessing information and meeting and debating with others. Thus, participation is about more than what we do, but about the roles of engagement with which we get to do things. The rights under the UNCRC which deal with the child's right to participate and have an active voice are as follows. Article 4, Article 12, which deals with the respect of the views of children, Article 13, which has to do with the freedom of expression, Article 14 on freedom of thought, conscience and religion, Article 15 on freedom of association, Article 16 on the right to privacy, and Article 17 with the right to access information. In her chapter on participation, which we read this week, James starts off by stating that she wishes to answer the following questions. To what extent do our habits of connectivity coincide with an inclination to pursue our own agendas, rather than to increase our sensitivity to the perspectives of others and our attachment to communities? And to what extent do we treat the internet as my space versus our space? Throughout the book, James has attempted to bridge the gap between thinking about the degree in which children think ethically and morally about the decisions they make online, and how those decisions not only need to consider how they'll be affected by them personally, but how the larger public and their community might be affected as well. In addition, both James and especially Boyd have taught us that children and youth's participation in online settings, although largely due to the idea that society is ever-changing and they need to keep up with their peers in the times, isn't simply about peer pressure, but that the internet allows kids to explore, express, and to find their identity. On page 85, James introduces 3 mindsets about the ethics of participation on the internet. The first is play nice, the second, it's a community, and the third, it's just the internet. For the purpose of this week's task, then, I will examine how James's mindset of it's a community should work in relation to the UNCRC's Article 17 and the child's right to access information, as outlined in the lecture, and by myself, I didn't really think she did it very well. Article 17 outlines that children have the right to get information, and that it's important for information that is important to their health and their well-being. It also states that governments should encourage mass media, like the internet, to provide information that children can understand and benefit from. The it's a community mindset, then, according to James, is an extension of the play nice mindset, and is one which reflects ethical sensitivity. It involves recognition of the relationship between individuals' online actions and the tone and integrity of online communities. As one child in the chapter, Maeve, states on page 89, apps like Facebook weren't created for people to be rude or to fight, but to allow for interaction and socializing. While I'm not disagreeing that this fighting might occur and cause some issues, these disagreements could easily happen in offline settings and in person, as well as they are often, depending on the nature of the argument, simply part of human nature. We fight as humans. Rather than constantly focusing on the negative aspects of the online community, which do exist, Article 17 and our work in this course aims to focus on the good that can come out of the internet and network publics, which is often overshadowed by the bad. This good comes in the form of socialization, the making of social connections, identity formation, and access to information which children might not get from those around them. An excellent example is the role that social media and the internet can play in youth advocacy and activism efforts, like they did in the Arab Spring movement with the underground youth movement known as the February 14th Coalition. This was a case where social media allowed for youth to participate in a movement which affected their lives personally, but one that needed them to band together as a community, using the internet as their medium to try and enforce the change they wished to see. Thus, online settings offer space which they purposefully engage with in meaningful ways regardless of the scrutiny that they receive from adults. If adults in their lives, like the teachers or their parents, focused less on trying to dissuade participation online and more on teaching healthy online participation and the good that could come out of it, like the example of youth engagement in the Arab Spring movement, then the online world would be a safer and more beneficial one for both adults, children, and youth alike. One where the moral and ethical situations might even come as second nature this time.